Hey everybody, you're watching Cadroll Hunter, and I got these two piggy banks here, and they are stuffed full of coins. I am eager to see how much is in there, and maybe we've got some silver, something valuable. Who knows? Neither of these has a hole in the bottom to make it easy enough to get anything out. And I don't want to be messing around for hours and hours and hours trying to get coins out of the top slots here. So we're going to do the next best thing for efficiency and, well, entertainment value. We're going to smash them with the hammer. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, this is James and you're watching my channel Cadroll Hunter. This should be a fun video today. I've got these two piggy banks that are just chock full of coins. They are full of who knows what. And we want to get inside and see what we've got. A little while ago, I actually did a video. You may have seen it. I'll put a link up above if you haven't seen it, where I picked up a bag of silver that included some really old stuff that I paid $200 for that bag. There was also a 1 cent US coin from 1837. So a lot of really old stuff. And when I picked that up from my antique dealer, Tim, who had gotten these from an estate purchase, he had these piggy banks with him. He just threw them in. He didn't charge me anything for them. He just remembered he had them in the back and he went and grabbed them. He kind of likes to do stuff like that for me. He's not going to take the time to fish all this stuff out. But in any case, whatever we find in here, we get to take off the $200 price tag. If there's anything that is just pocket change, face value, we would send it back to the bank. But I think there's some good stuff in here. I'm going to get the hammer out of the way because it's just not quite time for that just yet. Now this guy here, I could see in the hole. You can probably see a little bit. There's a reeded edge, so we've definitely got a dime. There's lots of pennies in here, I think, and maybe some nickels. So probably mostly pennies, but there's a few other things there. Maybe a few dollars worth of clad or silver or regular coinage, non-silver stuff. But this one's really interesting. Definitely lots of pennies, but I see coins of all shapes and sizes in here. When I flip it over to the bottom, check it out. I see a dollar coin. That's probably a really nice looking 50-cent piece, some quarters. I think we've got some US half dollars in here. There's Canadian, American, and there's, if you look around, I think there's some other foreign. So we might get a bunch of change, but I think we're going to get some cool stuff. Could we find anything old, like anything silver? That would be just a super, super bonus. So I've got my eye protection here. I've got my hammer, and I think we're going to just start with the little guy. I'm just going to try to give him a swift little whack, put him out of his misery, and we'll see what is in there. I'll clear away the debris, and we'll see what kind of coins we got. So I'm going to move this guy out of the way. He gets a little bit of a reprieve for now, but this is the one we're going to get into first. I better put the safety goggles on. We're going to give this guy a little whack with the hammer and see what treasures he is holding. Now, before I whack this, I'm just going to come clean. I talked to Tim. He gave me the all clear. He said this isn't worth a whole lot of money. It may very well be an antique. I don't know, but there's lots of these around. So he said the hammer is probably a pretty fine way for this guy to end. I'm not going to give a huge whack. I'm just going to try to see if I can give a well-placed crack to bust him open. So let's just not waste any more time here. Oh, a little bit of a splinter. Oh, I'm seeing a little bit flying here. Oh, and that did it. Oh, there's actually quite a bit more silver type stuff in here. I don't think there's any real silver, but we've got some change. Nothing looks tremendously special. This looks like modern Canadian coinage, but I'm going to count it up and see what we got. If there's anything cool in here, we'll let you know. So I'm not seeing anything crazy here. There is an older 12-sided nickel from the 60s. We'll set that aside. That looks like an older penny. That's a wheat penny, a 1950 Denver out of the States. So we got a couple of old things, but a lot of this stuff looks pretty contemporary here. Like there's a 1999 penny. Nice shape, of course. So I'm just going to count this all up, and I'll set aside any that are the kinds of things that I tend to keep, like those two guys over there. We'll let you know how we're doing here. All right, I've sifted through all the carnage, and I've organized everything here, and we didn't find anything special, nothing at all, really nothing old. We just found an assortment of circulating change. So really just the definition of somebody's piggy bank, nothing crazy in here. We did only just find that one wheat cent and that one 1960s Laureate portrait nickel. In total, we had $4.10 in dimes, nothing special in there. $3.25 in nickels, and just the one special one there, nothing else crazy. Interestingly, the newest coin across all the denominations was 1999. There were a lot of 1999s, but one lone nickel from 2019. Nothing else newer than 1999. It's like this guy just got stuck in there somehow along the way. Who knows? But it kind of looks like everything's been in here since 1999. So we also got 94 cents in pennies. Now, I'm going to keep some of this because I keep all the copper and I keep all of the pure nickel. That is just the nickels, not the pure nickel dimes, because they're not even worth 10 cents in nickel. But in any case, I keep all that. So I'm going to hold on to $1.64 in face value, but otherwise there's $6.65 that's going back to the bank. So I can take that off of the $200 tally that I paid for that bag of coins. So that helps a little bit. I'm going to clean up all this stuff so I don't cut myself. And then we're going to get this piggy up here. We're going to smash into him. All right, well, you've had your reprieve and it is now your turn, Piggy. I feel more optimistic about this one just from what we can see on the bottom where it's kind of clear. And I see some bigger coins in here for sure. So I think we're going to find some cool stuff. So we're going to get this hammer ready. I got my safety goggles on here, make sure they're all nice and tight. And I don't know what the best way to do this is, but we're just going to whack it. Oh boy. Well, that seemed to have done it, and it is chock full. And I see foreigns and I see lots of nickels and dimes in here. There's some play money even. Well, that's not good. But this one looks like there's all sorts of cool stuff. I better get the glass shards out of the way so I don't hurt myself. I'm going to dump this bad boy out. My goodness. So this is actually a lot of coins. It's kind of deceiving when you see it all in the piggy bank. But I will say I'm not seeing quite as much in the way of foreign type stuff or anything like that. It might just have been that most of it was at the bottom where we could see it. There are some nickel dollars. There's one from 1985 with a bit of circulation. And there's a 50-cent piece here from 1979. Actually, it looks like it's in pretty decent condition. And there are some varieties we might be able to look for. I'll set all of that stuff aside. I'm going to get started on the sort here. If I find anything really cool, I will let you know. There is something, I think that is from Israel. It for sure is. It says it right on there. I don't know the year. It might be, who knows? We'll see. I'll have to look that up. But that looks like actually a beautiful coin. So I'll start sorting, but it looks much the same as before. It looks like a lot of stuff from the 90s and earlier, but there's something there that's 2008. So we might have some newer stuff in here. Okay, I'll be right back when I've made a bit of progress. Stacking things up here, making my way, and I found a cool thing here. Check this out. This is silver. That is a silver war nickel. It is a 1943. It is a Philadelphia. It kind of looks like it's got a bit of a gold hue to it, but that is silver, 35% silver. There's that P mint mark above Monticello. So we actually found silver from 1943. That is awesome. There are a few other things I saw here. Here is a more modern, 1956 actually. That's Italian. That's 100 lire, and it actually looks in really nice condition. I thought this was much newer based on that design and the appearance of it, but it's 1956. That's really cool. I think this is probably copper nickel, so it's not going to be silver though. I just spied more silver. I don't know if you saw it, but check it out right there. I just saw the look was different. That's a 1962 Roosevelt dime. That is just awesome. I'm going to throw this one under the scope real quick. There it is out of Denver, that D mint mark right next to the torch. I'll flip it over again so we can just see that date for sure. Oh, and it's not a 62, it's a 1964. That's last year for silver. We got silver, that's awesome. Here's another goodie. This is not going to be silver, but this is going to be old. It's a 1945 Victory nickel. This is chromium plated steel from World War II featuring King George VI. That's a great find. There's a 1990. I found a few so far, and I'm checking them all to see if we've got the bare belly, but we don't have it this time. Not yet so far. As I'm making my way through the pile here, I'm pulling aside some other things when I found some very interesting things. There is 1 dinar aluminum. This is another one from Italy. This is 10 lire, maybe? I'm not sure. I'll put that on screen. Here's one from the 50s from the Netherlands. Pretty dark toning on this one. I'm not sure if that's the original coin color. It is got lots of detail. Got a Canadian $1 coin, but I want to show you this guy because this is 2 piastres from Egypt. And I'm going to have to do a bit of digging to find out. This is from the period between 1922 and I think about 1955. But not sure if you can hear, but it is 50% silver. So that is a great find. I'll see what I can find out about that one too. But more silver, that is awesome. Here's that $50. I'm pretty sure this is the one we could see on the bottom. It's 1973. This is clad. It's not silver. Looks like silver is going to strike again. I could just see that look, and it is a 1966 80% silver Canadian dime. A few more interesting things here. There is 2 Pfennigs from Germany from 1962. I'll set that aside. Got a couple more bigger Canadian ones. There's 1975 50 cent and another 1982 dollar coin. And I saw another US $50 here. This one, pretty nice looking 1971. Working my way towards the back, and I've been trying to separate out the nickels as much as possible. There's lots of them, but I see a few other American things here. There's another 72 Kennedy $50. That's an oldie. That's a 1947 Jefferson nickel. Looks like it's out of Philadelphia. And then I thought I saw, yes, our very first US quarter, 1966. Looks like it could have been a tarnished silver, but it's not silver at all. Now here's something I don't think I've seen before. This is a 1972. It looks like was a BU coin. It's in some sort of plastic capsule of some sort. It looks like it was ripped off the page of a book. I don't know what it was, if it was some kind of a souvenir or something like that. I don't think it would have been any sort of a mint set. Still got some mint luster to it, but it's literally been ripped off of something. Almost looks like it could have been like leather or something. Very, very unusual. Well, I'm bringing you back in because we found more silver. Here is 10 ore from Sweden, 1950. Try to see if I can, there we can see the crown in Sweden. And I looked it up on Numista, and it is 40% silver. It's Billen. And I saw more silver when I saw that one. There's going to be more stuff here. This one here, 1954 Roosevelt dime. That is awesome. We're getting silver in here. And then this guy here, that's a 1909, and it's in pretty terrible shape. I'm going to throw that under the scope, see if it might have the VDB, because I can't see with this dark patina. Well, here it is, and this might very well be the VDB. It's so damaged, it's hard to tell, but I think that might be the B. And I think we might have the V right there. The D is a little bit obscured, but that might be the VDB. The only way this is worth anything is if it has an S mint mark, which it does not. So it's probably worth, well, not a whole lot in this condition, but I think we got a 1909 VDB, and that's pretty awesome. And we're not done with silver, because look at what I've just uncovered here carefully so I don't cut myself. It is another Rosie. This one's a 1950 out of Denver. That is our third, I think, US silver dime. We've also found a US silver nickel and a Canadian silver nickel and a couple foreign silvers. So this has turned out to be pretty awesome. Now this isn't going to be silver or anything like that, but it's a 1940 Jefferson nickel out of Philadelphia, so an oldie here. Now, this might be the most valuable find of all, the www.5centwings.com. If you can find them, tell me where those are. I would be there in a heartbeat. Well, I am just getting through the last of the pennies. I'm getting everything sorted out here. I've tossed all of the finds over here for now, and I'll organize them later, but I got to bring you in because we found a dandy. I'm scoping all of my 1985s that I find because there are two varieties, and this is the regular one, the blunt 5, and the end of the 5 up here, well, it's blunt. It's straight up and down. I'm going to slide this next one down and check it out. We have found the 1985 pointed 5, and this is a really tough one to find. Two things you can notice here. One, the easiest thing is that it's pointed right there, but it's a little bit cut off right here. It just looks a little bit different than the other 1985, and that is awesome that we found a pretty scarce variety in this piggy bank. Somebody had this in their piggy bank, and now we found it. I think this might be the third 1985 pointed 5 that I found, maybe my fourth. This is one I hadn't found for a long, long time until I started coin roll hunting, or at least looking at coins in volume. The more coins you can look at, the better your chances of finding really cool stuff. So there you have it, the 1985 pointed 5. Awesome. Okay, well, that took me a little while, but there was over $40 in US and Canadian change. $40.03 on top of the $8.29 from the little piggy bank from earlier. And we got a good mix of copper and steel and zinc. We got less nickel than we did modern steel nickels, but lots of great stuff. In terms of interesting finds, we got a lot of laureate portraits in the 1950s and 60s, 53, 55, some 56s, 58, 60, 61, 62, 63, and 64. We even got some King George VI, 40, 43, a couple of those, 44, 46, 50, and a last year 1952. We also found some old American too. We actually got two 1909s here, and they're both in pretty trashy shape. This one has been punched. It's got a big sort of hole on one side and punched out on the other side. And then we've got a 1916. This here is really hard to see, but I believe this is a 1934D. Maybe we better put it under the scope to be sure. It's hard to see, but it is definitely a 1934 Denver with all sorts of environmental damage, absolutely. But there was more, 45, 46, 50, 50, that's a 50D, 53, 54, 56 Denver, and 57 Denver. We got a few older nickels. 1940 and 1947 are both copper nickel. And then this 1943 silver war nickel, actually in pretty decent shape, which is pretty awesome. We only got 3 US dimes, and all 3 of them were silver. There's that 1950, the 1954, and that 1964. And of course, we got a bunch of dimes. We got 1 silver dime from 1966 and a whole lineup here of modern dimes that we're going to send back to the bank, which is pretty awesome. We ended up with those 3 $half from the States, 3 $1 coins from Canada, and 2 50-cent pieces, and just 1 quarter from each of Canada and the USA. So this was almost entirely pennies, nickels, and dimes with a few odds and ends in here. And of course, we got some foreigns. I'm going to clean up the board here. I'm going to get those all arranged so we can see what we got. So we did get a bunch of foreigns. I thought maybe we'd get more just based on what I could see at the bottom of the big red piggy bank, but I am not going to complain because I love getting foreign coins. We got a whole bunch from the 50s from Italy. All these 10 lire here are 51, 52, 53, and I think that top is 55. And we got a 1950 and a 1952. Oh, sorry, 1956 and 1957. There you go. My eyes are going. 100 lire. These ones here are aluminum. These ones look to be copper nickel. We got several from Germany. We got 1, 2, and 5 Pfennig. We got here, some really cool stuff here from Ireland. This one here is 3 pence from 1965. And we got a shilling. This one's actually in pretty nice condition with the bowl on it. Very cool, 1964. And then we got 2 pence here. This is 1980, so this is decimalized here. Then we got a French 10 centime. We got a few Dutch coins here. We got that 10 or that is silver, which is awesome. And a couple of very old Egyptian coins. I did get a date on this one here. This one here is from 1938. And I could see that because the date is, here we go, right there, 1938. Let's see, we've got a couple of Belgian coins, a bunch of Euro cents here from different countries. We see Germany, we see France, we see Spain. We got the Netherlands. That's pretty awesome. And then some coins from the United Kingdom. There's a 6 pence. It's not silver. That's post-silver. And then a few from Israel. So all told, we got a bunch of silver coins, which was unexpected and pretty welcome. There's a few of them right there. I've already put a couple of the silver US dimes in my dime book because I needed them. I had holes to fill. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of piggy bank carnage. I got to carefully clean up the rest of the glass shards here. But piggies don't do well in my little YouTube studio here. It doesn't end well for them, but it usually ends well for me and usually ends well for you guys too, to be along for the ride. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it every single time. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, Cateroll Hunter, please click that button. Give the video a like. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you again next time. The sponsors of today's video are Lighthouse Canada and the Charlton Press. Lighthouse Canada is the leading supplier of high-quality numismatic supplies in Canada, and the Charlton Press is the leading publisher of coin and paper money catalogs and price guides for Canadian collectors. Go check out their online stores today and use the exclusive discount code CRH20 for 20% off all your purchases.